Ghost, and welcome back to another video. We are back in the kitchen. I am filming on my phone again because it's so much easier to do when I'm in the kitchen. So today I'm going to be making dandelion jam, or sometimes it's called dandelion jelly. Doesn't really matter, it's just dandelions. The reason why I'm making this is because I was having a conversation with one of my friends. We were talking about Genshin Impact, and he said that he wanted to make dandelion wine, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but I don't like alcohol that much, so I wanted to make something with dandelions, so I kind of scoured the internet for recipes, and I found this, and it sounds really good, so I wanted to give it a try. So earlier this morning, I went out to walk my dog, and during that, I just picked a whole bunch of dandelions. This recipe calls for 100 grams of dandelion petals, and which is supposed to be about 140 flowers. I think I have over 140 flowers in here, so I'm just gonna try to pick them apart and measure them. Alright, so the recipe calls for 100 grams of petals, so I have this bowl on a kitchen scale here, and since we're just gonna use the petals, I just kind of ripped off the green part and just grabbed the petals, and yeah, that is 1 gram, so we have a long way to go. I don't know if I can even show this process. Alright, so I put the phone on a sugar jar to try to show you what I'm doing. I just kind of pull the green part and just pull out the petals like so. Like that. I'm wearing gloves because dandelions kind of stain. I learned that the hard way when I was picking the flowers. So basically I'm just pulling off the green parts and just taking the yellow parts to put into the bowl. Apparently the green parts are quite bitter, so you want to avoid them as much as possible. I ended up taking my gloves off because I'm much too clumsy with my gloves on. So yay, dandelion stained fingers. Alright, so I did get 140 dandelions like the recipe specified, but apparently my flowers were too small, so I only was able to get like 50 grams. So I'm going to half my recipe, and so I'm going to use 50 grams of dandelion petals, and I'm going to half the rest of the recipe. So once you dissect your flowers, you want to put the petals into a pot. Sorry for all the background noise. I live in the middle of nowhere, and apparently there's a forest fire like a few blocks away from here, so there's a frickin' helicopter, a bunch of fire trucks and things like that going around the neighborhood, so that's where all of this noise is coming from. There is a bug in my bowl. Alright, the bug is gone. I've measured out 300 milliliters of water to just wash out the bowl, get the rest of the petals on there because I don't want to waste any. And I'm going to pour that water in here. Alright, so the recipe calls for 1 orange. So I'm just going to use this really tiny, ugly orange. I'm using a homegrown orange because oranges that you can find in shops are pretty much drenched with pesticides, and it's not very good for you to use the peel if that's the case, but homegrown oranges don't have that unless you did put the pesticides on. But yeah, these don't have it, so I'm just going to use this, and since it's small, I'm just going to use the entire thing. I'm just going to chop it up. I noticed that the pot for the dandelions I was using earlier was a bit too big, so I just removed that and put it into a smaller pot. And here I'm just gonna add my little orange slices. And the reason why we're adding oranges is because oranges and other citruses, honestly, are pretty high in pectin, which is what's gonna help the jelly gel up, basically. And in other countries, they sell pectin as it is. It's already powderized and you can just use it as is. But in Japan, they don't do that for some reason. I'm actually not sure why. So instead, most Japanese recipes for dandelion jelly and other jellies that use things that don't contain pectin will usually have a high amount of citrus to add in the pectin. So I'm just gonna add in some oranges like this. Then we're just gonna turn on the heat, put it on low, very low, and we're gonna let it stew for 1 hour.
1 hour later.
So it's been an hour, so I just turned off the heat and I set this sort of, what is this? A strainer with a cloth on top, and I'm just gonna pour my mixture over top. Just let it all go. I burnt it a tiny bit, but hopefully it's not gonna be an issue. I just kind of changed out the pots when it burned so that I won't be cooking in the burnt residue. So hopefully that's gonna save it. I hope it's gonna be fine. So here I put the hot dandelion juice back into the pot. I did rinse out the pot, but there's still some petals stuck to it, which is honestly fine. I'm just gonna leave them all in there. Next I'm gonna take a bowl, it's on the scale, and I'm gonna measure out 400 grams of sugar. Actually 200 grams because I'm having the recipe, can't forget about that. Then I'm going to add this to the hot juice. Then stir with a spatula until dissolved. Next, to add even more pectin into the mixture, I'm going to juice half a lemon. Luckily, I had some lemon left over, so I'm just going to use that. I'm going to do the best that I can with one hand. I'm just going to get started, and then I'll just finish it off camera. But I'm just going to squeeze the lemon. Now, once we're done, we should have a good amount of lemon juice. And I'm going to add that to the dandelion juice mixture. Then we give it a good stir. Then we're going to turn the heat back on. Set it to low. And we're just going to gradually cook while stirring. And it should get quite a bit thicker. Right now it's just pretty much juice with sugar dissolved into it. It's basically supposed to have a more jelly-like, honey-like consistency after about 40 to 50 minutes. So I'm just gonna sit here and stir, and I'll update you if anything happens. Oh yeah, while my jelly is cooking, I just prepared some jars, just cleaned them up and left them here. Hopefully these will be enough. I want enough jelly so that I can share it with one of my friends. So I have this little jar right here, and then this one is for personal use. Not sure if I'll have enough, but it is priority to fill this one, so yeah.
Much later.
Alright, so it's been nearly 45 minutes at this point, and it's getting quite thick, as you can see. It's not really jelly consistency, but if I scrape around the edges, there's a lot of goo. So I think I'm on the right track. I don't know if this is gonna fill 2 jars or not. I'm kind of scared. Alright, so this is what it looks like after 45 minutes, and I think I'm gonna stop here. I have been told that it will gel as it gets cooler, and I did test it out and it is true. It is happening, so I'm just gonna do that. Alright, so I've put the mixtures into the jars. It's still really hot. I'm gonna put the lids on and turn them upside down for a little bit. Alright, so it's been about half an hour since I put them in the jars and turned them upside down, and I kind of tried turning them back up, And yeah, that is jelly in there. I'm so glad this is working because I was so scared. It was so liquidy. But yeah, it's gelling as it's cooling. It's working. So I've come back to my desk for the end segment because I wanted to. This is the jelly now. It's completely firm. It's very, very jelly-like. I have a feeling I might have let it boil for a bit too long at this point. It's incredibly firm, but I'm just glad that it firmed up. This is the one that I'm going to give as a gift, so I'm going to decorate it a little bit. So I'm going to take this label and write what it is on it. So here I have this cute little fabric. I'm going to trace out a circle and put that on top as a decoration. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of fray check to the edges so that it won't fray before it gets to my friend. Alright, so this is the only way I can get the top of the jar to show. I'm going to put the fabric on top and I'm going to secure it in place with a rubber band. Once that's in place, I'm going to take this thin white ribbon and let's see, does that cover up the rubber band? I'm going to do 2 layers just in case. Just wrap it around. That's gonna be it for this video about Dandelion Jelly. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was an adventure, and I'm just so glad that it went well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!